I wish I lived in the Victorian era. Come again? No. No, you actually do not wish you lived in the Victorian era. Because, well, maybe you wish you were a rich person, but then again, who doesn't wish they were a rich person in any part of history? Do you want to be put in a factory and forced to work at the age of 8 years old? Okay, then you can go ahead and live in the Victorian era. This video is actually a perfect example of why the Industrial Revolution was truly a disaster for the human race. You know what? I think I know who uploaded this. Yeah, when people look back at past time periods, they always think about the good parts. Makes me wonder what people will think of this time. Remember work from home? That was nice. I tell my chain gains as we walk into the Bitcoin mine. Perfect. That's the comment that they needed to say. But if I can come back to any point in history and be a rich person, well, do I want to go to the Victorian era? I mean, I feel like as long as I don't pick prehistory here, I think being an uber wealthy nobleman in any of these eras would be pretty nice. You probably could get away with way more insane things if you're like a very rich person in like the medieval ages. You could probably eat bodies and things like that. I don't know why that's the first thing I came up with, but isn't that how a bunch of myth and legends were born? Like an uber rich person was like this crazy maniac that was a cannibal? I don't know. I want to live in the Victorian era. No, let's translate that to I want to live in the Victorian era, a member of the aristocracy. I can't ever say that word. Or high society. Would you rather be wealthy 200 years ago or poor today? Depends on how wealthy, how poor, and where. Königsberg, 1913. Promise you won't cry? I promise. That same place, Kaliningrad, 100 years later. I won't cry. I won't cry. It is literally horrific. That is actually a travesty. But was it the Russians/Soviet Union's fault, or did this stuff already get blown up? I'm noticing this date specifically is before both world wars. I would assume it was probably a conflict that took this thing out. I mean, the Soviets wouldn't just tear that thing down, would they? Oh, nope, should have known. They definitely did. But the Soviets wanted to remove any trace of these cities' past. As soon as I thought they couldn't do something that dumb. Oh, it might be a little bit of both, though. The castle was largely destroyed during World War II. Its ruins were removed, and then obviously it changed into Soviet hands, 1946. Man. I mean, here's the thing. There's actually like mixed views about Soviet architecture. There's some people that really love it, some people that really hate it. I don't really know how I feel. Hard to compare to this thing though. This thing looks pretty epic. I knew this thing had to have been kind of destroyed during the World Wars. The meme wouldn't have picked that date specifically, 1913. I don't know. The comment section keeps going back and forth. I'm not sure what happened. But and this building hasn't even been finished yet. Commie blocks are ugly, but they provide affordable housing for people. This monstrosity was nothing more than a symbol of totalitarian Soviet government. This is what I was kind of talking about. Like, there's definitely mixed feelings, especially in the West when it comes to Soviet communist housing. There's also a big difference between like functionality and aesthetics. I'm talking about like aesthetically. As of recently, a lot of Americans like the aesthetics, but regardless, in terms of functionality, I mean, honestly, like, you know, you throw me in a cheap space, if it's cheap rent, well, dang, I mean, I would like that. I heard that they are kind of nice to live in, but you know, that's coming from Eastern Europeans. I've never lived in one. I do really love how this new Soviet building does have a nice USB port over here. Korean history be like, it's 1910 and you're under Japanese colonial rule. 1945, you get independence. 1950, there's a war. 1953, the entire peninsula is divided. 1960 has a fraudulent election and the resignation of a president. 1961, a coup. 1979, a president has been moved. 1980, another coup. 1987, democratization. 1988, we at the Olympics though. 1997, economic crisis. 2002, World Cup held. This literally was the life of many Koreans born in the 1920s. As remember, Japanese occupation extended all the way to 1945. Lots of ups, lots of downs. I would say mostly downs though. Remember during this time though, the Koreans experienced so much economic growth, like it's unheard of in history. They were completely destroyed after the Korean War, and now they have like the 14th largest economy in the world. It's incredible. Not without some growing pains though, of course. Some old timer in the Carpathian Mountains. I was born in Austria-Hungary, went to school in Czechoslovakia, served the Hungarian army during World War II, got in prison in the Soviet Union, and now I live in the free and independent Ukraine. All that, and he never even left his village. Yes, the 2002 World Cup, the darkest days in Korean history. Seriously, you don't know how much they ruined their reputation to win and still lose a fake gold cup. And believe it or not, it actually still gets worse for the Koreans. If you were a Korean born back in the 12th century, you first got to experience a coup, then nationwide revolts, then this invasion, then Mongol invasion, then another Mongol invasion, another Mongol invasion, another Mongol invasion, another Mongol invasion. Your whole life, the Mongols have just been invading you. That is, if you continually survive all these invasions, which a lot of Koreans probably didn't. Man, I don't know. I was gonna say, I think I would rather take the Korean born in 1910, but that's gonna be pretty horrific as well. I also might be under the authoritarian rule of Kim Jong-un right now. Man, alright, duly noted. Don't go back in history and live in Korea at all. At some point, it was no longer an invasion, it was a seasonal pilgrimage. Talk about building a whole lot of character over there. We were talking about how, like, going back in time and being a rich person sounds fun in all the eras. because it definitely does depend on where you're coming from. Be cool to be rich in the Korean Peninsula unless Genghis Khan is coming around to take my wealth every single like 5 years. Emperor Hongzhi, making China so stable and promoting Confucianism that his rule became the most uninteresting and colorless of all the Ming emperors. Literally, talk about peak. Your nation was so chill, nothing happened, and they have to describe it as colorless throughout history. This man's the greatest leader of all time, as far as I'm concerned. Holy crap. China's had such insane history that when like there is a stable time, they have to call it uninteresting because so much like just insanity has taken place over there. Man, we really did need more like nice, good Chinese leaders. Finally, we have found one. Just a nice, boring leader. Boring's good, especially when it comes to like leading an empire. When he took the throne, he was eager to clean up the rampant corruption and promote Confucianism, morality. Legit suffering from success. Imagine being such a good leader, your own people call you a square for it. We're here for the drama. Nothing ever happens. Billions must prosper. Was he the guy with one wife instead of 300 concubines? Well, I guess that's a good thing to have just one wife. Who would have guessed? If the people don't know the emperor's name, he's doing a great job. Man, I kind of love this guy now. Sun Tzu, after writing The Art of War, okay, not bad. Sun Tzu, after George Washington used a militia and the art of war to defeat the world's greatest army. Oh, that's the British army. Finally, Sun Tzu, after Napoleon used the art of war to conquer half of Europe and it took 9 states to defeat him. Okay, I don't know if he knew that it was going to be that great. Bro, if I wrote a book and it ended up inspiring Napoleon centuries later, like, well, dang, no wonder I'm remembered throughout history. That's epic. It's just kind of funny because they talk about the art of war being like really obvious things. Like, okay, bro, I understand if he's stronger than me, I should try to not fight him. It's a lot more than just that, but yeah, literally this art of war is just the most basic and simple war strategies, but common sense sometimes is hard to find. Yeah, basically advocating for achieving peace and not getting stuck in costly wars that achieve nothing, which funny enough, George Washington and Napoleon didn't necessarily, well, especially Napoleon didn't necessarily do. Honestly, I need to read it. I need to read this. I think it's time. Never use Comcast internet. Australia's first cops were all criminals. Their first police force were made up of 12 of the most behaved convicts. We were bad, but now we're good. Bro, everyone's like, you know, laughing at this meme. What do you expect though? Australia was a giant penile colony. Of course, everyone there were convicts. They didn't have any other choice. Literally every single profession of all the industries in that country had to be from convicts for the first time. Like your baker down the street was a former convict. Maybe even your priest. I don't know. Australia had no other options. It is funny to see them as cops though. Australia is actually the greatest example of all time for rehabilitation. If I was like someone's parole officer, I would just be talking about Australia, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Bro, you could do it. You could change your life around. Australia is a functioning society. It's pretty nice. This probably helps too. If I remember correctly, French police officers also used criminals at one point to help them catch criminals. Can't remember when they did it. That's like when they used locked up like serial murderers, can I say that? To find other ones. Australia really is the place where God puts his creations that he has no idea what to do with. Making a kangaroo for the first time, like, what the hell did I just create? All right, throw it in Australia. He doesn't really look armored enough. Wait, I'll fix that. Oh no, what is he gonna do? Wow, now he really looks armored, even though that is going to do literally nothing. Ah, man, it sucks. I have like a mixed relationship about Hollywood and creating historical stuff. You gotta remember that when it comes to movies and TV shows, like, their number one job is just to entertain you. It is not necessarily to be, well, the most accurate. Does this look cool? Yes, it does. Is it functional? No. This is literally not gonna save this guy's life. I mean, maybe. I guess it could. Bikini male. Do I want to see what that is? Oh no. Yeah, good luck protecting your vital organs. That's gonna definitely work out for you. Funny enough, there was something somewhat similar looking that actually would be a bit more functional, obviously. I could see why the costume designers out here would be, well, a little bit confused. The UK, who obviously did not use spears, but also did not conquer Afghanistan. The Soviet Union, who did not use spears and also did not conquer Afghanistan. The USA, who did not use spears and also did not conquer Afghanistan. Then there's Alexander the Great. He did, in fact, use spears, and he would end up conquering Afghanistan. Conclusion: Afghans are weak to spears. We've finally found their kryptonite. They are not, after all, the graveyard of empires as long as you have a long, pointy stick. What a bunch of idiots over here. How did you miss this? Someone needs to revive Alexander the Great immediately from the dead. We're clearly just lost all common sense. This is funny. However, I might argue the opposite here. No one is arguing that you cannot conquer Afghanistan. The problem is occupying it it for years and years. It literally acts as a cancer inside of your empire. That's what makes it the graveyard of empires. When you control this land, it literally acts like a poison. It won't get you tomorrow, but it'll get you eventually. And funny enough, even for Alexander the Great, that is exactly what happened. Thank you. Literally top comment. Conquering Afghanistan is easy. It's been done dozens of times. Controlling Afghanistan seems to be the biggest issue. Literally ask everybody from the meme. Even ask arguably one of the greatest empires of all time. The Mongolians couldn't even hold it down for a long time. And the several hordes that followed, like Afghanistan, still came out. Honestly, these are just some battle-tested people. Battle-tested along with fantastic geography to always consistently fight. You know terrain like this, like you're unstoppable. It's the same with the Vietnamese. Vietnam also has a very similar record to this. I think what makes Afghanistan even more impressive though is they don't even have half the amount of population as Vietnam does. Some empires did do it for quite some time, but again, just like the Poland revival superpower they have, Afghanistan just continues to come back. Technically, bayonets on rifles can be used as spears. Imagine looking at the history of Afghanistan conquest and ignoring the Mongols. Shake my head. Arrows are just really short aerodynamic spears. No, but like I've always said, there are some places on Earth that were just geographically blessed. Now that can be in many different ways, not necessarily in terms of resources, but certainly for Afghanistan in terms of defensibility. I'm sure being smack dab in the middle of so many fantastic empires throughout history also battle hardened their people, making them even better warriors. You deserve freedom from European oppressors. Yeah. You should live under local oppressors instead. Wait, what? Meanwhile, the weapons supplied by Europe. Basically a meme about, well, post-colonial Africa, unfortunately. They weren't always supplied by Europe, though, I'll tell you that. Some of these are American-made. Yeah, for many of these places, unfortunately, there's essentially still is colonial rule. You just can't see it anymore on a map. Post-colonial African history. Yeah, that's what I thought. Support your small, locally sourced oppressors. Free, more like under new management. Sure, Europe was the only active third party in Cold War Africa. The US and Soviets didn't get up in any funny business at all. Funny, I mean, you can extend that to right now. Yes, it's just the Europeans that are still in Africa. Don't forget about China. China is also saying, are we a joke to you? The United States of America admitting the state of Texas into the Union. And here's Texas, who is also about to revolt in 16 years. Not sure why this is the first meme to bring that to my attention. It was like the 1940s, I believe, when Texas became obviously incorporated into the United States. 1949 to be exact. What's even crazier is Texas had sought annexation by the US. It took nearly 10 years though, of course, over slavery. Then, yep, exactly 16 years later, Texas was like, yeah, we don't want to be a part of this union anymore. Bro, make up your mind. You want to be a part of the squad or not, dog? Can't keep fighting Mexico for you. Texas could have had such a crazy span of like 25 years, a part of Mexico, an independent state, a part of the US. Well, I guess they did have a crazy span of 25 years. Let's go over that again. A part of Mexico, becoming independent, becoming a part of the US, then revolting, becoming part of the South for 4 years, then going back to the US. Talk about speed running different countries in North America. What in tarnation? To be fair, they revolted for the same reasons, to keep slavery. Well, I guess they're principled. The one place to fight 2 wars to keep the right to enslave people. Gotta admit, this is impressive, Texas. The Soviets, when they told Germany they don't have to pay reparations back to Poland. No need to thank me. I'm not paying reparations back to Poland either, says the Soviet Union. I know that we both decided to invade them, and I know that the Soviets, we now control you, East Germany, and we basically de facto control Poland too. Don't pay them back, it's all good, buddy. Sure, Poland really appreciated that. This was all back in 1953, so, you know, 8 years after World War II ended. Meanwhile, Germany, that gave 20% of its land to Poland. Oh, that's something. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union, we also take the side of Poland we conquered in 1939, as it is Belarus. Poland is the most volatile country in modern European history. You can draw a timeline from the Middle Ages to the end of World War II. Close your eyes, put your fingers somewhere on the line and guess yes Poland or no Poland. To spice it up, whenever you guess wrong, you take a vodka shot? Yes, well, Poland got an enormous chunk of Germany to serve as reparations. Poland also lost lands, though. I'm just wondering how strong of a grudge Poland's gonna hold. Should we all be a little worried? And big ol' thanks to my April patrons. I time traveled back in 2025 to stop Drew from taking over the world. We only have 2 years left. Drew's Argentinian Trust Fund, Rip Grandpa. Alexander the Terrible. Carmel S. Connor Pavlik. DOOCHBAGGINS. Fredrik Tibblin. KingBearHaze. KirinoIsBestGirl. The Go. Nolan. NordTyrol. And Tambre.